The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site. The United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look. Just a terrible sight. I've studied this very closely over a lot of months, and I've seen it from every different angle, and it's a very, very dangerous place to be, and it's only going to get worse. Gaza is a hellhole right now. It was before the bombing started, frankly. The horrors of October 7th would never have happened if I were president. Very hard to stop it. Yeah, please, go ahead. Go ahead, please. Kelly, go ahead.
You are talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there? Redevelopment?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Caitlin, go ahead.
On what you were saying there.
Say it. Go ahead, please.
Just to follow up on what you were saying about the Gazans leaving Gaza, going to other countries. One, where exactly are you suggesting that they should go? And two, are you saying they should return after it's rebuilt? And if not, who do you envision living there?
I envision the world, people living there, the world's people. I think you'll make that into an international, unbelievable place. I think the potential in the Gaza Strip is unbelievable. And I think the entire world, representatives from all over the world will be there, and they'll live there. Palestinians also. Palestinians will live there. And I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be. They're living in hell. And those people will now be able to live in peace. We'll make sure that it's done world class. It'll be wonderful for the people. Palestinians mostly we're talking about. And I have a feeling that despite them saying no, I have a feeling that the king in Jordan and that the general president, but that the general in Egypt will open their heart.
Does that mean that you do not support a two-state solution?
It doesn't mean anything about a two-state or one state or any other state. It means that we want to give people a chance at life.
You are the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House. You withdrew from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. I remember we spoke about it. You said, this is the worst deal I've ever seen. I'm elected, I'm walking out of it. That's exactly what you did. Now in the first days of your second term, you picked up right where you left off. Your leadership helped bring our hostages home. You freed up munitions that have been withheld from Israel. You ended unjust sanctions against law-abiding Israeli citizens. And today, you renewed the maximum pressure campaign against Iran. Ladies and gentlemen, all this in just 2 weeks. Can we imagine where we'll be in 4 years? You cut to the chase. You see things others refuse to see. You say things others refuse to say. And after the jaws drop, people scratch their heads and they say, you know, he's right. They tried to kill you, Mr. President. They tried through their proxies to kill me. We're both committed to rolling back Iran's aggression in the region and ensuring that Iran never develops a nuclear weapon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, we have the right to do that. With me, it's very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We don't want to be tough on Iran. We don't want to be tough on anybody, but they just can't have a nuclear weapon.
Mr. President, and their proxies who will threaten to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys or taking out Soleimani.
If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. You know bullies? You know what a bully is, right? And they're bullies. Hamas is bullies. We're gonna have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. We're moving into a beautiful location, and I believe we'll have a parcel of land in Jordan.
I think the president is very happy that we do this thing with 2,000 children as quickly as possible.
2,000 children. Are those from the Gaza Strip?
Absolutely from the Gaza
Are
Strip.
you willing to change your mind? Mr.
That's from the
President?
Gaza Strip to 2,000.
Discussions in Riyadh to achieve those objectives. So I'm very delighted to be here.
And Mr. President, take it under what authority? It is sovereign territory.
Under the U.S. authority.
And just to follow up for King Abdullah, can you clarify again, sir, how do you feel about the U.S. taking Gaza, as the president said?
Well, again, this is something that we, as Arabs, will be coming to the United States with something that we're going to talk about later to discuss all these options.
Why should the king take in the Palestinian people? He's made clear he doesn't want to.
Well, I don't know. I think maybe you want to say it now, or...
Well, Mr. President, I think we have to...
Saturday still your deadline for Hamas?
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have King Abdullah with us. He's been a friend of mine for a long time, actually, long before even my first term. And we've had a great relationship. He's a great gentleman, a great leader, and does a fantastic job in his country. We've had some quick discussions just now, and we're going to have some longer discussions after this. If you'd like to say a few words, and thank you very much.
Mr. President, thank you very much for having us in so short after your inauguration. I truly believe that with all the challenges that we have in the Middle East, that I finally see somebody that can take us across the finish line to bring stability, peace, and prosperity to all of us in the region.
And is there a parcel of land in Jordan that you're willing to have Palestinians?
Well, I think what we said, I have to look at the best interests of my country. I think the president is very happy that we do this thing with 2,000 children as quickly as possible.
Mr. President,
During your election campaign,
Mr. President, how is the U.S. going to? Why should the king take in the Palestinian people? He's made clear he doesn't want to.
Well, I don't know, but he may have just something to say because we discussed just briefly. I think maybe you want to say it now, or...
Well, Mr. President, I think we have to keep in mind that there is a plan from Egypt and the Arab countries. I think the point is how do we make this work in a way that is good for everybody? I think one of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible.
I didn't know that, what you just said, 2,000 children with cancer or other problems, and that's really a beautiful gesture. That's really good, and we appreciate it. And I know we'll be able to work something also with I believe, not 100%, but 99%, we're going to work out something with Egypt.
King Abdullah, what do you think about the U.S. taking over the Gaza Strip? Do you want to see the U.S. own the Gaza Strip?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, the president is looking at Egypt coming to present their plan. As I said, we will be in Saudi Arabia to discuss how we can work with the president and with the United States. So I think let's wait until the Egyptians can come and present it to the president and not get ahead of ourselves.
Some people say this is ethnic cleansing. You won't be able to force them to leave their land.
We're moving them to a beautiful location where they have new homes, where they can live safely, where they'll have doctors and medical and all of those things, and I think it's going to be great. Well, it's not where I want them to live, and I believe we'll have a parcel of land in Jordan. I believe we'll have a parcel of land in Egypt. And, you know, don't forget, they only want to be on the Gaza Strip because they don't know anything else. They never had an alternative. And they don't want to be on the Gaza Strip but they have no choice. They have to be.
And Mr. President, take it under what authority? It is sovereign territory.
Under the U.S. authority.
Mr. President, how is the U.S. going to own Gaza? Your White House has made clear taxpayer dollars won't be used for this. So what money are you going to use to buy Gaza?
We're not going to buy anything. We're going to have it, and we're going to keep it, and we're going to make sure that there's going to be peace, and there's not going to be any problem, and nobody's going to question it. And we're going to run it very properly.
Mr. President, you've said before that the U.S. would buy Gaza, and today you just said we're not going to buy Gaza.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. Gaza, it's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it.
And Mr. President, would you seek to personally develop property in Gaza after this happens?
No. I've had a great career in real estate. Thank you for your words, and thank you very much.
Mr. President, thank you very much for having us.
Welcome the Prime Minister of India, my friend. We're going to have a fantastic relationship, and it'll make both countries much stronger.
Mr. President, you spoke about Prime Minister Modi as a tough negotiator. Who was a tougher negotiator today, and who has a better negotiating tactic when it comes to tariffs?
Oh, he's a much tougher negotiator than me, and he's a much better negotiator than me. There's not even a contest. Okay?
You've repeatedly called India a big abuser of trade and said it is really difficult to do business in India because of tariffs. Are you willing to make any concessions?
India's been, to us, just about the highest tariffed nation anywhere in the world. They've been very strong on tariffs, and I don't blame them necessarily, but it's a different way of doing business. We're going to have the same. We're going to have whatever India charges, we're charging them. Whatever another country charges, we're charging them. India traditionally is the highest, just about the highest tariffed country. They charge more tariffs than any other country. But India is a very hard place to do business in.
Are you planning to sign an executive order on reciprocal tariffs, sir?
Yes, I am. In fact, I may do it today, and if I do it today, I could almost do it right now.
Do you expect any exemptions or waivers?
I don't expect that, no. This is a simple system, and there wouldn't be any. And in the case of Apple, I gave them a waiver, exemption in my first term because Samsung was in South Korea, and Samsung didn't have to pay the tax because it was a tax on China, and Apple makes a lot of their product in China. So I did that because it wouldn't have been fair. But now this applies to everybody across the board. This is a much simpler way of doing it, much better way. We have to have chips made in this country. Right now, everything's made in Taiwan practically, almost all of it, a little bit in South Korea. Taiwan took our chip business away. We had Intel, we had these great companies that did so well, and it was taken from us, and we want that business back. We want it back in the United States, and if they don't bring it back, we're not going to be very happy.
My second question for President Zelensky. Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting.
I don't have such.
Office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish. Okay. Yes, maybe something like yours, yes. Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than Thank you. Thank you.
Really happens next. If indeed, as seems possible, American assistance, financial and military.
thank you very much. It's an honor to have President Zelensky of Ukraine. And we've been working very hard, very close. So we've actually known each other for a long time. We've been dealing with each other for a long time and very well. We had a little negotiation spat, but that worked out great. I think for both countries, I think for the world, actually.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for the invitation. And really, I hope that this first document, will be first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine, our people, our children. People have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You
Don't-
will not
you
have
gotta-
a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
what
I'm not
You're
dictating.
in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. Right now, not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and
of
he's
the
happy.
war,
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the
a-
cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
playing
But
cards.
right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
Yeah, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you
You're
think about?
gambling
What
with
do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And
You-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you.
your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank you?
Even today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for
What-
the United
what
States
you're
of
speaking
America
about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country is
Can I-
in big
can-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn
We-
good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if,
West
if
speaking?
you didn't
You
have our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks. It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
I just say thank you.
I said a lot of times thank you to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on over here. I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. Going to be a tough deal to make because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think, huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that. Do other things. Wait a minute, no. You've done a lot of talking. The country is in big trouble.
Mr. President, with respect to bring it into this conference.
I was very disappointed with what happened today because of President Trump and Vice President Vance's attitude and words.
Nous connaissons tous la situation. Il y a un agresseur qui est la Russie. Il y a un peuple agressé qui est l'Ukraine. Je pense que nous avons tous eu raison d'aider l'Ukraine et de sanctionner la Russie il y a 3 ans et de continuer à le faire. Et quand je dis nous, ce sont les États-Unis d'Amérique, les Européens, les Canadiens, les Japonais et plusieurs autres.
I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
No, I respect President and I respect American people, and if I don't know if I think that we have to be very open and very honest, and I'm not sure that we did something bad.
Do you regret that? Are you regretting that that happened today?
Yes, I think it was not good. I think it was not good.
Stupid war that would have never happened if I were president. We have people going over there, Mr. VP. Do you have anything to say about it? Because you're very much involved. What's going to happen?
Well, we've got some conversations that are happening on the phone and in person with some of our representatives over the next couple. As the president said, we think that we're in a very good place when we find out that news.
And by the way, I have to speak of inflation. I love these socks. What's with these socks?
It's in honor of the T-shirts.
I'm trying to stay focused, but I'm very impressed with the VP's socks. I'm trying to stay focused, but I'm very impressed with the VP's socks. Did it the hard way also. He served to our country, and thank you very much. Do you know you have Rosie O'Donnell? Do you know who she is?
Name there. Who's your favorite Irish person?
Oh, there's so many. Are you kidding me? Well, I do happen to like your fighter. He's got the best tattoos I've ever seen. I don't know if I'm a big, but that.
Conor McGregor.
Conor.
Boy, you have. Well, Conor's great, right? You know, so many. I think your father was a great fighter, right?
He was.
Wow. And yet, look at you. You're so smooth and so.
He was a very good defensive boxer. He could weave.
He was a really good.
He was a good boxer. Yeah.
That means you genetically. I'm not going to mess around.
Do you call them any?
Very tough. I was the toughest ever. But no, they never took anything from me. But he'll be fighting me on it.
I mean, what I would say, President, if I could, 1 second, just.
Will you put more tariffs on the EU? Will you respond to their retaliation?
Oh, of course I'm going to respond. The EU was set up in order to take advantage of the United States.
Including Ireland? Is Ireland taking advantage of the US?
Of course they are. I can't, I have great respect for Ireland and what they did. And they should have done just what they did. But the United States shouldn't have let it happen. We had stupid leaders. We had leaders that didn't have a clue. Or let's say they weren't business people, but they didn't have a clue what was happening. And all of a sudden, Ireland has, our pharmaceutical companies and other, this beautiful island of 5 million people. It's got the entire U.S. pharmaceutical industry in its grasp.
Of the 56 signatories of that historic document, 3 were born in the island countries.
Friendly state, Ireland stuff.
Our position, but it's genuinely to have people, because we've gone through this, we discussed this prior to the briefing.
Well, I'd love to have him back. I'd love to have him back, but he'll be fighting me on it.
What I would say, President, if I could 1 second, just make the point, it's a two-way street too. We are investing a lot more in America now, and people may not realize, but Ryanair, one of our biggest airlines, for example,
I'll trade.
AirCap,
I'll trade.
they buy more, the two of them together buy more Boeing airplanes than anybody else outside of America. That's a little known fact. It doesn't turn up in the statistics, but Ryanair and AirCap, big aircraft leasing company, Irish company, have done great work with Boeing, huge investments over the last couple of years, you know. So, and there's a lot of Irish companies here now, about 700 odd Irish companies based in America. Morning, Vice President. A lot of them creating thousands of jobs in America, and it's only fair. I mean, that's correct.
That's right.
That's the way it should happen, and I think it's a very good relationship we have.
And they've done a very good job. Now, I just will say this is a massive deficit. I don't mean by a little bit. I mean, there's a massive deficit that we have with Ireland and with other countries too. And we want to sort of even that out as nicely as we can, and we'll work together. We're going to work together great, but the deficit is massive.
There's been a lot of on and off, some inconsistency.
There's no inconsistency, only with NBC, which is one of the worst networks on television, by the way. Let me just tell you the inconsistency. I have the right to adjust. And I'm not like a block that just, I won't delay. It's called flexibility. It's not called inconsistency, it's called flexibility. And I think you want me to be flexible too.
Is flexibility going to be your ongoing view toward?
Sure, I'll always have flexibility, but there will be very little flexibility once we start. April 2nd is going to be a very big day for the United States of America. The United States of America is going to take back a lot of what was stolen from it by other countries and by, frankly, incompetent U.S. leadership, grossly incompetent. I gave you an example of Ireland. I would have never let that happen.